There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth, and always open at homedepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Thank you for downloading Sporgy for free on iTunes or from ChristopherMedia.net. Please make sure to rate Sporgy 5 stars on iTunes and help to tell others about Sporgy by leaving a comment. Thank you for following Sporgy on Twitter at Sporgy Podcast and on Instagram at Sporgy_podcast. Please follow Sporgy on Facebook to like and share Sporgy. You can also email the show. The address is sporgy@ChristopherMedia.net. If you would like to donate to Sporgy, you can click on the PayPal button at ChristopherMedia.net. If you use Amazon.com, please click and bookmark the Amazon link at ChristopherMedia.net. It will not cost you any extra money, and you will help to support Sporgy. If you are looking to launch your own website, please click through the HostGator banner at ChristopherMedia.net. Christopher Media uses HostGator to host all of the shows produced by the Christopher Media Network. When you click through the HostGator banner at ChristopherMedia.net and sign up for HostGator, you're helping to support Sporgy. We know that choosing the perfect gift for a man is a difficult task, but not anymore. TheBroBasket.com is here to help. We all know men are hard to shop for, but what do guys actually like? Their favorite alcohol, that's what. It could be craft beer, wine, whiskey, scotch, or tequila. TheBroBasket.com will put it in a gift basket full of their favorite gear and goodies. You can customize your own Bro Basket or choose from a variety of different Bro Baskets, like the Ultimate Import Sampler, the Jack and Coke gift set, or the Junior Executive gift basket. Boozeless, but still cool, Bro Baskets are also available. TheBroBasket.com gives you many shipping options to choose from, including rush delivery and Saturdays. 21 and over, please. State and local laws apply. Beer, wine, and liquor are not available for shipping in all states. You can help to support Christopher Media by clicking through the BroBasket.com banner at ChristopherMedia.net. Men used to be hard to shop for. TheBroBasket.com. Alrighty, we ready?
Let's do it.
Is this 39 or 40? It's 39, right? Or is it 38? Mm-hmm. It's 39? Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Here we go.
Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. Welcome to Sporgy, the show that gives you half-ass sports fans giving their half-ass opinions. And now, here are your hosts.
Welcome to show number 40. My name is
39.
Chris. Oh, damn it! 39? Damn, we rehearsed it before we started. I'm Chris.
I'm Rich.
I'm the ICEman.
Oh, boy. All right. Who are 39, gentlemen?
Dominic Hasek.
There we go.
Yes. Yes, he did. That's true.
It was going to happen at some time, Merle. You knew this.
Ryan Newman. NASCAR.
Nothing. I got nothing. No number 39s popped to my brain. I'm thinking maybe somebody in baseball. I don't know. I'm going to use my electronic assistants, even though I'm breaking the rule.
Roman Santiago for the Tigers. I want to say he was 39.
Abdullah in the Chiefs.
Armchair GM Wiki. What a great site. Soriano Award for the Braves in 2007. Bunch of Red Sox. Nobody we've ever heard of.
Oh, yeah, I got to mention that. Danny Woodhead award for the Patriots.
Roy Campanella, award for the Brooklyn and LA Dodgers.
That would be a fairly large name.
Fair, a little bit. Larry Zonka on the Dolphins. Steven Jackson on the Rams. Oh, that was the hometown team, or former hometown team.
Not even close to a hometown team.
The Rams, St. Louis.
Kansas City.
Oh, that's true. Damn it. Wow. All right.
Strike two.
Good night, everybody. 2 minutes in. All right. Well, I guess we got to lead off. We got to lead off with some housekeeping. First things first. Yeah. So when we recorded, Jimmy Garoppolo was going to be a Brown. So, and Adrian Peterson was going to be leaving the Rams.
At least according
Vikings.
At least according to an article all three of us saw.
Yeah.
And just want to point this out. I even went so far as to say, if you guys have any doubt, say it. Don't worry about fucking hurting my feelings, because I was sure I saw the article.
We all saw it.
And neither of you have any doubt, so that's all three of us. Now, the fact that this article went out on social media and was obviously taken down and corrected without any type of retraction, I mean, honestly, we're not paying for sports news from an agency or something, but still, to not even mention that, oops, we had to correct an article we put out earlier. To me, that's Bush League bullshit. And I mean, there's a difference between misspeaking, because we've all done that. Use the wrong first name with a last name when we're talking about players, because there's so many players with the same last name. Whatever. Get years mixed up, stats a little muddled. It happens, half-ass sports fans. This pissed me off, because this made us look like we didn't know what the fuck we were talking about. Like, we were literally up here, butt booty, ass open, naked, making shit up just to talk about. And that was not the case.
Yeah. Hey, media, let's worry about being correct rather than being first, because then we look like idiots. But yeah, and then on my part, I read more into the Baylor story. Whoops. Sorry, everybody. I'm gonna. You're saying we should maybe redefine what sexual assault is. Oh no, in the Baylor case, it's exactly what we think it is. There's just a lot more. There's a lot of moving parts in that story, and yeah, my bad for opening my mouth before I was super informed on the subject. That's rare. That's what, like, the first one in like 3 years, Rich. I'll take it. As far as having to go on the mic and go, whoops. So
if I was your public defender, I could even make the case that we were not talking about that case in particular. We were talking about on general in college campuses, the culture of what's considered sexual assault is different now. The definition has changed with the times. I would say that we were even speaking about that more so than that applying directly to Baylor.
Yeah, after I read the story, I just personally had the feeling like, oh my God, I did not read as much into this as I should have. So yeah, popped off without reading first. Whoops. So yeah, but all right. So that all being done, so what do we start with, guys? What's been the biggest story of the last week?
Well, unless this is a bullshit story. I've seen a few reports that I guess Adrian Peterson has made some noise about he would take less to go to New England, the Patriots.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's too early to ooh.
But still, man, I mean, doesn't that get your dick hard a little bit, Earl? Especially that being your team?
It's not my team. It's not even close to my team. It's just me recognizing that we can't fucking beat him no matter what happens.
Man, could have fooled me, not your team. We have some hella audio of you being very pro New England, but
it's just given the respect that's due. I'm not going to sit here and try to deny that they're probably the greatest franchise in NFL history.
Well, according to CBS Sports, Adrian Peterson, obviously, we talked about this last week. We got this correct. The Vikings didn't pick up his option. And the article goes on to speak about only a few teams actually make sense for AP and free agency. Now, apparently he made the statement that he feels he could play 5 more years in the NFL. He's what, 30? Is he 30 or 32?
Yeah, I want to say 32. I know he's north of 30.
Okay. Well, anyways, CBS Sports goes on to say a source close to Peterson told the Herald that since AP has already earned a ton, more than $97 million in his career, it's certainly something he'd consider as far as taking a team-friendly contract for New England. He said, but naturally there'll be a lot of teams in the mix, including the Vikings, and of course the Pats would have to want to bring in an aging back with an injury history, not to mention baggage.
Does he really have, other than him whooping his kid's ass with a switch, I mean, it's a pretty big bag. But does he really have that much baggage?
He does. He has the kid. He has injuries. He has fumbleitis. There's issues.
I'd call his injuries a bigger bag than hitting his kid with a switch.
Well, true, but I mean, there's more than just a player that got talked to about hitting his kid with a switch.
Well, I mean, but if think we talked about this in the chat, maybe last even show. I mean, he just, at this point, he needs someone that can let him run. And New England, they're one of those teams. They're going to create lanes for him.
Well, I agree.
I think it'd be
He's
a good
31
fit.
years old, by the way. I really think he can. If he's going to play for 5 more years, if he's going to play for another year or two. Time is creeping on him. And no matter how good of a shape you try to keep yourself in, time waits for no man. So if he's going to run, find a team that's going to allow that and get there.
Well, I mean, what about Blunt? You got Blunt sitting there.
Did you see last week him doing his campaign to stay in New England or some shit?
Yeah, there's been an ongoing situation with him. I know that it's gone a couple weeks now at least. I mean, he's a good short yard guy, right? But I mean, he's a chew up the clock type guy. Adrian Peterson would be going to an offense that's obviously throw first and not built around him. I mean, I guess the two major hurdles that I see keep being brought up in this story is, one, he'd have to be willing to take less money. He's not going to hold the Patriots hostage for more money. They don't play that shit. And two, he's going to have to accept a reduced role in an offense not built around him or the running game, period. And, I mean, if he's earned close to $100 million and he's willing to say this through channels, to me this tells me he wants to go for that ring. It's not about a payday with this contract.
Well, it's time, I think, too.
Well, I mean, I didn't realize he'd make close to $100 million. That's, I mean, granted, I understand, half of that right off the top for Taxman and all that other good shit. But you figure with his endorsements on top of it, he's probably made somewhere close to at least 65, 70 million in his career. That's nothing to sneeze at. So, I mean, he can take a smaller paycheck. Yeah, time's running out, so he's not even like he can really leverage his, I have more miles in the tank to go before I'm empty than, he's not closer to a full tank than an empty tank, is what I'm getting at. But, I mean, I got to give it to him. If he wants the ring and the Patriots are willing to fucking, throw him in there, and if anybody can control having Blunt and Peterson on the same running back core, I think it'd be Belichick. I don't get the Belichick. Never got from him that he's a game player and he's not going to settle for people playing games in his locker room. Even Randy Moss walked the line when he was playing for Belichick. So I got a little bit of respect for him. I mean, simply as a player, it'd be much easier to go for the payday.
No, he wants that quan. He doesn't want the coin. He wants the quan.
Right?
Now, granted, if all of the top teams, for whatever reason, all the top contenders for next season, turn him down, and he ends up taking a huge payday because some team was willing to throw him ridiculous amounts of money, but he couldn't get on the teams who had the best shot of winning, I couldn't blame him in that situation either.
Running back for your 2017 Detroit Lions, Adrian Peterson.
Well,
that situation?
One of two. He also got Charles to worry about. He's out there.
Jamal Charles ain't going to end up nowhere. He ain't end up nowhere good. His reputation will precede him. Hey, you want to sign a contract and be injured for most of it? Sure. That ain't happening to him anymore. That happened when he was hot shit in 2010. Hey, it's 2017, and you have proven you are not durable.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm shocked. I honestly didn't think he was going to make the play for the ring. I figured he would either stay where he's comfortable and held up in high regard, which is Minnesota, or he'd go someplace that was willing to, make sure him and his are well taken care of.
Maybe he's self-aware. Maybe he's like, I'm 31. I'm not the healthiest. Let's actually try to win this thing rather than go for the payday. And he's probably, and if he lives down south, cost of living down south is cheap. So money probably ain't an issue for him. Quite honestly,
Yeah,
if he's smart with his money.
Even if he lives in the, as they refer to it in Atlanta and certain parts of the country, New York, south of the Mason-Dixon, yeah, he can still live at a fairly high standard compared to if he lived in L.A., Chicago, or New York. So, I mean, yeah. But yeah, I mean, that would be interesting. That would definitely... It's not a move that's going to make the Patriots weaker.
Yeah.
Job sucks.
You know, if he turns out to be a flash in the pan fizzle, you know, it was like a sexy signing, but it does absolutely nothing. As long as LeGarrette Blount is serviceable, and we know they can draft, we know they can find talent in later rounds to fill in and be role players, you know, hey, why not go for it?
Yeah, I mean, New England's proven it. I mean, the only person that's still on the first team that won the Super Bowl title, the only two people that are still there are Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. I mean, everyone's changed around them, haven't they? Is there anybody that was on that 2001 team?
God, no. There's, except for Gronk and Tom Brady.
Or how long's Wilfork been on that team?
Wilfork's gone now, isn't he? Didn't they cut him?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he was with Houston last season. Was he?
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean it's another nod to the system.
Well, it is the system. It could be Adrian Peterson, Blunt. It could be anybody. You know, Jamal Charles. It doesn't matter. The thing is what about give this a thought, just give it a thought. What about putting AP in Green Bay?
Didn't I bring that up last show? I swear I did.
You did, but you said he could go to any Detroit or any rival to the division, Detroit.
Yeah, except Chicago. Chicago's all set with, what's his name, Jordan Howard. That is running back is the least of Chicago's worries. But, no, yeah, trust me, there's a need in Green Bay for that. We agree on that point, Earl. I mean, Christine Michael, I don't think he's your lead back in Green Bay at this point. He's a serviceable backup.
He's a tight end that got converted.
Yeah, but I mean, he did all right.
Because Eddie Lacy looks like a fucking huge pork chop.
Guys, I think you can't. I don't think you can discount. I mean, I don't think it's a driving factor, but I think there's people, especially in the front office of that team, that go back a ways, back to the Favre days. They probably got a little bit of a fucking sour taste in their mouth for the way Favre didn't end around to end up playing in the same division against Green Bay, which is, if you remember when he retired and then unretired and he went to New York Jets, that was one of the leaked from sources big concerns about Green Bay. They wanted to make sure he didn't end up in the same division. So he went to New York, played a season, and then he went to fucking Minnesota. So if they could get Minnesota's little fucking golden boy to end his career in Green Bay, and they end it with a Lombardi trophy, that's even more sweet. That's the cherry on top.
Now you can Chris.
I say so much blood will be in the penises in Green Bay if that happens.
Because honestly, besides small parts of their defense, that's what Green Bay was missing. Green Bay was inches away from being in the championship game.
Yeah, their run game was a shit show this year. There's no way around that one. They were doing running back by committee. The fact that they were signing running backs at the trade deadline or claim people off waivers even. I mean, that told you everything you needed to know. It wasn't complete in Green Bay.
And, I mean, we tend to forget. We think of only the players on the field as being hyper-competitive. Those guys in the front office, a lot of times they're former players or they've been around the game for almost all their life. And if you don't think businessmen can be as cutthroat and competitive as football players just because they do it in a different way than the football player does it on the field, you're out of your fucking mind. Welcome to America. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot more money made by stabbing people in the back than there is by shaking their hand and looking them in the eye.
I totally agree with you. And as we learned with Peyton Manning, at the end of their career, a great athlete will do everything and anything to win that championship.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate Peyton Manning. I can't stand the way he runs his offense, but he was a great quarterback.
Yep.
He didn't have the right team. He went down to Denver, all types of beat up, and said, this is it. It's now or never. I mean, he was singing Elvis like a mug. And then he went out there and just ripped people apart because he knew it was seriously his last chance.
Well, he also did something that tucking the ego away a little bit, and he became more of a game manager this last season, especially as the season dragged on. You can't say he was the MVP of that Super Bowl. I don't care how big of a fucking Peyton Manning fan you are. I mean, he basically he did his best Brad Johnson impersonation. Trent Dilfer, you know, don't lose us the game. Don't fuck up like he did right off the bat in the Super Bowl, like he did in the Super Bowl against Seattle.
Omaha. Whoops.
Yeah. So yeah. Any other? Well, I guess staying on the running back tip and the Lions in a roundabout way. So Joe Mixon didn't get an invite to the combine, and surprise, surprise. One team that felt the need to fucking make it public that they're upset about that is the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
They couldn't just keep their mouth shut and fucking invite him for, you know, an individual workout.
Go to his pro day now?
Yeah, exactly. No. They had to come out and give all the Lions haters, which there's honestly not that many of because most people are indifferent about the Lions. But the few that are out there, give them fuel and say, oh, so you want a woman beater on your team. You're pissed that he didn't get a fucking shot at the combine. Okay.
Like, come on to Detroit. Everyone around here, one or two guys everyone's got domestic assault. Just come on over to Detroit. Work out. See what you can do.
And if not domestic assault of some kind.
Yeah, exactly. DUI. Possession.
Issues.
Yeah.
Well, I just found it funny that listening to a few other sports shows and reading some articles and some comments on some articles on social media that, you know, people are coming out and it's still, you know, a big issue with what happened. Apparently he had an issue with a cop over a parking ticket. The cop was female, and so now the people who are looking to push an agenda have been given all the ammo they needed to use to say he has an issue with women. People who tend to look at it as maybe he has an issue with people fucking with him. Maybe he has an issue with authority. Maybe he has an issue with people slapping him in the face and overreacting. You know, still he ain't doing himself any favors. So, I mean, is he first, second round talent? In you guys' opinion?
I really haven't seen the guy play. I'm not going to... I've already talked out of my ass a few times.
I mean, especially with the baggage that comes with him. I mean, it seems to me that his stock is just dropping. Which, I mean, look at it this way. Ultimately, he's going to end up on a team. And if he's better than we're giving him credit for, eventually he's going to get a payday. Unless he has a catastrophic injury that ends his career before he can cash in. So, I mean, I'm not boo-hooing him about losing money because he's dropping in the draft. I'm just saying, I think it's funny that, you know, this is the focus on him, and he can't get out of his own he can't even get out of his own fucking way. I mean, it's like, what the fuck? It's a Johnny Manziel thing. Do you not know better than to get fucking photographed with two, you know, strippers and a beer in each hand and a joint in your mouth in some fucking club? Come on, dude. You already know the whole fucking country's, you know, at least football fans and the sports media's eye is trained on you.
Hey, Johnny Football's life is trending upward. He said so like 2 weeks ago. All right?
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. His life was like Twitter.
Him and Gordon both.
Hey, we're trending upward. Hey, man. Hey, apparently, you know what their problem is? They're not talented because Le'Veon Bell, the last 2 seasons, can't put down the weed in the offseason. Starts off as fucking both the seasons with a 4-game suspension. Just gets a franchise tag in Pittsburgh last week. So, I mean, Pittsburgh is showing at least if your output is great, don't fucking matter. We'll put up with your bullshit.
Well, the NFL, I think, has done a very thorough job of showing people that if you are a marginal talent or if you're on the bubble, you better fucking walk the line. If you don't, they will get rid of your ass.
Yeah, Johnny Manziel wasn't as good. Johnny Manziel wasn't as good as he was partying, if that makes any sense.
Well, I'm having a complete brain fart, but who was homeboy who knocked his wife out in Baltimore?
Ray Rice.
Ray Rice.
Exactly. If Ray Rice would have been coming into his peak, he'd have been playing for somebody. But since he was on the downside of his career, they wrote him off as a loss and sent him into the sunset.
If that would have happened in 2012 instead of 2014, he'd probably still be in the league.
So, yeah, for anybody out there thinking they won some sort of victory, don't break your hands clapping, because ultimately this is a results-driven business. And if he's producing, he's going to have a spot somewhere.
Mixon's good. He's not even decent. He's good. He's good at what he does. He's not stand out by any means. He's not Zeke. But he'll get the job done. And I think as time progresses with the right team, he could be a really good running back. But at Oklahoma, he wasn't. I mean, it just meh. He really was. Meh. Yeah. It's somebody, even without the baggage of the woman, he's still seeing the second, third round.
Yeah, but if he could have went to the combine and had a fucking outstanding combine, he could have raised his draft stock.
A bit.
See, a player like him, I would think that the upside of going to the combine outweighs the downside. He's not going to be one of them players that shows up and shits, unless, I don't know. I mean, it's happened. Players have went to the combine and shit the bed and fucked their draft stock up. You could argue that happened to Tom Brady. Tom Brady looked like a fucking buffoon out there running in all the combine shit, and look where he sits now. So
the GOAT.
Yeah, he was 50 people from being Mr. Irrelevant.
Exactly. Think about that. He was a round and a half away from being just a footnote in history, an answer to a trivia question. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. The combine to me.
I think Tom Brady looks in the mirror every morning or every night like, yeah, they picked you in the 6th round. That's right. Yeah, 6th round my ass. Like, does the whole mirror psych out thing.
Oh, if you've ever watched the 30 for 30 about him getting drafted, yeah, it ate at him. I wouldn't doubt. I don't know if he does it the exact way you're saying it, and I understand, for comedic effect, but I'm pretty sure he fucking let that rock sit in his gut and just turn over like a bad piece of fucking meat and be like, you know what? Fuck all these teams that passed me up. And
I definitely think he gets out of the shower and does his best Kirk Cousins appreciation.
Detroit Lions.
Like
Detroit Lions. He was available. Just saying.
But
we'd have killed him.
Into it again.
He wouldn't be who he was if he'd ended up with us.
Exactly. So I'm not going into it again. It's Belichick. It's the system. It's not Brady.
Like, I'm starting to be of the theory that if Matt Stafford got drafted by anyone else, he'd probably be on like his 3rd or 4th ring by now. I mean, I guess it kind of flies in my face of me saying he's elite. I'm not saying he's elite, but just our system, I think, is just it doesn't bode well for like nurturing talent. It just seems to fucking take you in, chew you up, spit you out. But anyway,
I mean, so you think if he was, because let's take a team that has had quote unquote solid quarterbacks, but they've struggled at the quarterback position. First team comes to mind is Arizona, the Cardinals. You think he'd been taken by the Cardinals, that they'd have won a Super Bowl with him by now?
Probably, with that defense. Yeah.
I'm thinking so, yeah.
God, if that's the truth, and on top of that, if Matt Stafford thinks like that, that's got to piss him off. It has to. That has to eat at his craw.
If he's one of those guys that wants the ring instead of the payday. Some people really do just want the payday, though.
Definitely.
Yeah, some people are just happy to have been invited to the dance. They don't have to fuck the prom queen. They're just happy they're at the dance, I guess.
Well, there's a documentary coming out called Ice Guardians about enforcers in the NFL, and I don't know. I haven't seen the finished product. Apparently, it's been out. I can't get a copy of it anywhere. So if you happen to be connected to Ice Guardians, we'd be more than happy to review it and talk about it. You just got to give us a copy here at Sport G.
Hey, you got in touch with us before? Get back in touch with us. What the hell, guys? Sent you an email. I should follow up. Anyway.
But, I don't know if it's going to if it made the finished movie or what. But, I mean, there was a couple guys in there that were like, they realized the only way they were going to make it into the NHL was by strictly with their fist. And guys like that, of course, they want to win championships. Of course, that's their main goal. but I think they also tend to appreciate the fact that they're in the NHL. They don't take it for granted. They know that, their job could be, they could be downsized out of a job, or one rule change or even a rule tweak could put them out of a job at any moment because they just don't have the raw skill as pure scorers to play in the league. So, I think that's, I'm with you, Earl. I think there's, I tend to think a lot of athletes are delusional about a lot of things and not that self-aware, but there are ones that are very grounded in reality and very self-aware. I mean, I can name you one who won a Super Bowl, and that's Jeff Saturday. If you've ever seen any interview with Jeff Saturday, he walks right up to the line of saying, I lucked into the fucking situation I was in. But he just doesn't come across and say that because I'm sure he'd take heat for it. So that's interesting, though. I never really thought about that. If Stafford was with another team, how many championships would he have?
I mean, because you see there, you could see there's an ability there. I mean, I don't think he's like Tom Brady material, but like there's definitely an aptitude for football there. He's not like, you watch him and it's not like he's a guy who kind of lucked into his position, but it seems like our system. I mean, how many guys, look, we made Barry Sanders just walk away. We made Calvin Johnson go, nah, I'm good. I mean, we've sucked the life out of some of the greatest people who've ever played their position.
And don't forget,
that's a culture thing. That, you know what I'm saying? That ain't like luck or anything. That's a culture of shit.
You had a lot of players on those 90s teams who were great players that were overshadowed by Barry Sanders because he cast such a large shadow. And I mean, Chris Spielman, for one.
Yeah, and imagine Herman Moore on somewhere other than Detroit.
Look at, Benny Blades. He came from the U. That motherfucker knew nothing but winning. So when he came to the NFL, it was like, what the fuck?
What?
I've never lost this much in a season in my entire life.
What? Losing is an option, huh?
I mean, that's another thing. I would love to one day sit down with a professional athlete who was tops playing Pop Warner or Little League or, Major Junior, whatever, hockey, and then was tops in their high school or, into college. They get drafted high and they get drafted by a shit team and their career just stalls out there. Just to be like, how did you feel when you walked in that locker room when you heard that you were picked by him? Because, I mean, I've seen, like, interview footage of Warren Sapp when the Bucks picked him. And Warren Sapp, his face can't lie. That motherfucker did not want to play for the Bucks. Period at all whatsoever. I mean, he thought he should have went higher because he's Warren Sapp. And two, I mean, he was from that area of Florida. He was like, it was disgusting to watch that football playing. His exact quote, in them ugly-ass uniforms in that ugly-ass stadium.
Yeah, well, now you're the mayor of Tampa, motherfucker. You probably go anywhere. Get anything in Tampa.
Well, Rich, it's probably like anybody else in this world, in this country's economy. You go to school for 4 years, you get a bachelor's, you're ready to go be productive and get a high-paying job. All of a sudden, you can't find a fucking job. Nobody wants to hire you because you cost too damn much. So you find yourself working at a gas station or fucking, McDonald's somewhere, and you're like, this is my life now. Why the fuck did I just do this for 4 years?
Because money.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Because shelter ain't free. Because they're not just handing out food at the grocery store. When you get down to why does anybody really do anything?
Right, but if you can't find the people to pay you money, what the fuck was the point?
No, then maybe you need to readdress how much you're asking. Maybe you're not.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's how these people felt when they were the stars of the show, and then they walk into the shit-ass team, and their career just is like...
Hey, man, the law of gravity applies everywhere, in my opinion. Not just to, the metaphysical or the regular physical. What goes up must come down, to me, is a general law for everything. For life, for careers. All that existential bullshit. You got to be aware of it. If you're an athlete, I'm sure some people are aware of it. Like, oh, all right, well, ride's over. We're done. Be grateful for what you had, and then kindly, just kind of walk off into the sunset.
Well, I can't think of any specific examples, but I have seen it. It's very few and far between, and I've seen it, though, where it's the player like I described. It was the top player growing up, top player all through, the NFL draft. He gets on a team, and he has such belief in himself that he's going to win. He thinks he can will the team to win and will to change the culture. And when he just keeps losing, you can see it. It's like, that's why I missed the Best Damn Sports Show ever, because they'd have clip shows of athletes fucking flipping out. And a lot of those was, you could see those type of guys in those moments where they realized nothing they can do by themselves could change the direction of that team. Like, you just see people feel fucking absolutely helpless for the first time and impotent for the first time in their life. Just like, fuck, And to me, if you watch sports and look at it as a metaphor for life, there's no better you're going to find, or you're going to be hard-pressed to find one better than that. Let's put it that way. Because everybody's had a situation, whether it be a relationship, a family member, a job that you just, on paper, it clicked, everything was great, and then now you just, at a certain point, you had no when to walk away and cut your losses.
Yeah.
Johnny Manziel was a first rounder.
I had that with the radio industry. But, yeah, no, there's definitely, there's times where you have to just go, well, this isn't working. This is over. Peace. Sometimes it's got to be you. Sometimes it's got to be the team. Sometimes it's got to be us as your fans. Like, hey, man, this isn't fun to watch you anymore. Please retire. Please.
You could argue what happened to Jordan.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, there was going to be a crowd no matter what.
I remember feeling like that about Jordan.
There were people that are such huge fans of that man. There was going to be people that no matter what, if he was in their town, even if he was playing like absolute shit, like the last guy on the bench on a shit team, they would go because it's Jordan. But those people that were like, oh my God, Jordan's coming to town. When they dropped off steeply and quickly. I remember them trying to like hype it up whenever he'd come to town against the Pistons, and I would see basketball fans who 5 years earlier would have slapped their mama for fucking tickets, and they're like passing up free tickets to go to the game. And they're like, yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah, why'd they bring Jordan's old ass to town? It was the old busted ass Jordan.
I saw him in '97. I'm good. That type thing.
I saw him, I was like 10, 11. So 89, 90. So I got to see him in Can't Beat Detroit era, but I never got to see him in, the many rings era.
Oh, I must have, that got my point. I'm not saying I saw him. I'm saying these were what these people were saying, who would like,
oh, gotcha.
What a few years earlier would have killed for those tickets. Now when they're offered him in his Wizards days, they're like, I saw him in '97. I don't need to see him again.
Rhetorical.
Yeah, I saw him on his first game back out of his first retirement. That was amazing, by the way. But I never felt that way about him. I guess I'm one of those guys that was just like, oh, Jordan. But I did feel that way about Joe Montana. He should have retired in San Francisco.
Should have never went to the Chiefs. They should have went, we're trading you to the Chiefs. They should have went, I'm retiring. But maybe he's one of those, like we talked about with Brady, the debate we got into. Maybe he's one of those guys like, fuck it, I love to play. I'm a competitor. As long as I can walk out there and play the game and get hit and get back up, I will keep playing.
A Brett Favre?
Just some guys, they're cut from that cloth. Like, it ain't about the money. It ain't about winning, or maybe it is, but it's more about, like, I like to play this game, and as long as I can, I'm going to. Just these fierce competitors that our new society is not going to build for us. But that's another conversation.
Well, anything? Yeah. The Oakland Raiders,
There we go.
Yeah, apparently have a
we got an investor.
financial backer.
Bank of America. What could go wrong?
There's an old comedy bit by Eddie Griffin about he was watching the news and there was a bank robbery and he saw they were robbing Bank of America and he's like, that's how you know they were stupid. That's like the McDonald's of bank. There's one in every corner.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently there's funding for a stadium for him in Vegas. So
I mean, they do not want to be in Oakland. Listen, we'll take any.
It's just itching to get out of there.
Yeah.
That makes me wonder, is that holdover from Al Davis and bitterness towards the NFL about the shit? Is that more of they don't really have their own venue, their own stadium that's really theirs? I mean, they share the Coliseum with the Athletics, and they're kind of, now they're not, this last season especially, but for a long time there, they were the other Bay Area team. They went 49ers and then that other team. Unless you were a fan, no one was really giving a fuck.
Hey, if Colin Kaepernick wanted to really push his blackness, he could go play for Oakland, right? Since he's into that now.
No, his point's proven.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Racism is over. That's right. Read that last week. Oppression's over.
The one thing I'll give Kaepernick so far, because I did think it was amazing that as soon as his fucking free agency hits,
let's stand, everybody.
Well, I mean, that does go back to, obviously, he knew that he was working for an employer that was going to let him do that for whatever reason. And he also must have knew that if he didn't work for that employer, other employers are going to go to him, you ain't pulling that shit here. Sorry, homeboy. Especially with your fucking record.
I mean, it's foresight from his career standpoint, but at the same time, I guess he doesn't realize how much it makes him just look full of shit, in my opinion. Like, my principles are willing to be compromised based on I need to keep collecting a paycheck, which we'll all do it, but it's just, he was so pious about it. He was so, I'm better than everybody. He's wearing fucking, Che Guevara t-shirts talking about Fidel Castro had some good ideas. And now he's just shown he's fucking got his price just like everybody else.
And now he's about to be traded on the open market, and I'm adopted by white parents. And
hey, my principles go as far as making sure I still keep getting paid, everybody. I mean, that's what it said to me.
I believe the very first time we talked about this, I'm not even sure if you were on the show. The very first time Chris and I talked about it. But you came in during week 5 of the NFL season because you missed the little opening losing streak the Lions were on. So you came back and they started winning. So there you go. There's your serendipity. It's all due to you, Earl.
16-0 this year because you'll be starting at the beginning.
Absolutely.
Hope you didn't wash your underwear from those Sunday games because that's the lucky underwear for the Lions. But anyways.
Hanging on my wall.
When he started that shit, I think Chris and I both agreed that it was really a no-win situation for him in the end. Because if he did that and he played like shit, which he ended up doing, to where San Francisco doesn't want him back, then he's going to have to risk that doing that with another team, or just flat out having teams say right from the rip, you ain't doing it. So he went the preemptive strike route and said himself, I'm not going to do it. So now it makes him look weak on his principles. So either way, he put himself in, he only has himself to blame. We've covered this topic very well. I'm not talking about thoughts on it before. I don't give a fuck about anybody's thoughts about it before because I know him on this show. I'm talking about right now. He didn't think this through. He should have pressed the pause button and been, okay, what happens if this happens? What happens if this happens? Obviously, he likes checkers. He don't like chess. He didn't think 5-6 moves ahead.
Yep.
That's on him.
No, but everybody else around him did. Everybody that supported him did, because nobody took a knee. Everybody put their fists in the air.
They locked their arms.
They locked arms, right? Yeah, nobody sat or took a knee when the national anthem played. So everybody was like, I guess we're with you, but we ain't with you, motherfucker.
I had no problem with him taking the knee. It's still a sign of reverence. I had a problem with him being so goddamn fucking pious about it. That's just my whole...
Well, now, okay, look, here's the deal. Trump won, so the people who were like, fuck him, and his fucking newfound fro for fucking doing this, you won, okay? Do us all a favor for the next X amount of time we talk about this subject. If you're in that crowd, be a good fucking winner for once in your life. Now let's move on. Here's the problem. It was how it was also reported. Because remember when it was being reported that there was a rash of high school teams that wouldn't stand for the national anthem and threats from college teams? Go back and look at those reports now, not through the lens of emotion that stupid-ass fucking story stirred up in us. But go back and look at them as factual. It is literally a handful of teams. Once again, congratulations, America, you simple motherfucker. You Forrest Gump of the fucking Western Hemisphere. You got played by the fucking media. They set you up. You bent over, spread your ass cheeks, and said, don't even spit on it. Just bury that veiny motherfucker to the base. And they did. And you know what? You turned around and slopped the shit off their dick and asked for fucking seconds. So fuck you if you fucking think this is some sort of victory. We got sold a bunch of bullshit based on childish fucking emotions. Congratulations, assholes. So stupid. So dumb. This is what I'm talking. These stories were fucking non-stories that didn't need to be covered. But no, they're going to push this shit because we're going to get a reaction from it. Fuck you people. Fucking media scumbags. As I'm in the media.
You're not allowed to rent videos here anymore. Yeah!
So Rich, how do you feel about this? I'm just saying.
I'm not mad at the people more so than just anybody with half a brain, anybody that's capable of critical thinking should have been like, this is a bunch of horse shit anyways. It's an emotional issue, and no one's going to react from fucking anything but emotion. And anyone who tried to interject cold, hard facts, logic, and reason into the equation was shouted down by the people who were riding that high wave of emotion. All right? It was a non-issue at that point because it wasn't going to be solved. And the fact that they went and started digging up some team in butt-fuck Kansas to fight, they said, we're not going to fucking stand. We're going to fucking take a knee, too. A team that will never play for a state championship and sent a camera crew out there and interviewed everyone like it was the fucking Super Bowl about that, says all I need to know about fucking how the media in this country loves to stir the pot. And that's it. So for all these people that are saying we're tired of politics in our sports, well, you should be really tired of politics in your sports reporting. So let me see you get as angry about that as you did about him kneeling. And if you don't, you can shut the fuck up and accept you're a hypocrite. That's where I'm pissed at the fucking people. Rest of it goes to the media. They fucking know better. Sorry, didn't mean to get off on a rant.
It's like Dave Chappelle and Half Baked. Sorry for yelling. No, but no, I hear you, man. Because when I saw that, I was like, like you just showed everyone you're full of shit. There you go, dude. Like every word you say is now empty. Next, that's my attitude on it.
I remember saying that when he did it.
The only thing he can do to try to fucking cover his ass and maybe win back some people who are like, man, you're kind of looking suspect right now, is if he keeps pumping as much money as he was pumping last season into the stuff he was pumping money into the charities and educational stuff he was pumping money into, now that he's not taking his stand. Because then all he has to do is go, I let my actions speak now. Look what, my record's out there. Look it up. That's all he has to, that's all he can do to save face at this point.
Look that shit's up. But, well, we'll see. We will see. Pretty much like with everything. So we talked about what? The Combine. We talked about what else?
Oh, I got another little mini rant here. Oh. Maybe you can clear this up for me, Chris. What is this ESPN insider shit when you click on an article to go read it?
What do you mean? What is it telling you to sign up for the insider?
Yeah.
Oh, it's some fucking service. It's some way to suck like $6 a month or something out of you. I don't know.
So it is a pay to read it's ESPN. Okay. First of all, if I have an ESPN login through my cable provider, I shouldn't have to pay to read ESPN stories.
I agree. That's why they almost had me once, and I was about to hit like okay, and then I went, wait a minute, no, fuck you. I'm already got your TV channel, and you have a website. Fuck that.
What irks me is that the story would have I felt would have been good, at least for discussion, because it was every team's glaring need going into the draft, and like the true, the first one's free, then you got to pay, get on your knees. They showed you two teams, and then if you wanted to read the rest of the article, you had to pay for it. And I was like, this is some horse shit. So if anybody out there knows a way around that, not that we would do that, but just throwing it out there. You plant seeds, they take and hold and grow where they can. If anyone knows a way around that, it might not hurt to let people know. So, all right. So, second mini rant over with.
Nudge, nudge. Wink, wink. I read an article from January that says the biggest need for every team in the draft. But
that's like reading, the mock draft, the weekend before Super Bowl, but after the last playoff game. You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on, dude. A lot of shit can change in those next couple months.
Yeah, that's true. There's been all kinds of trades and shit already.
Well, it's like we started saying at the end of last season. There are so many needs across the NFL. It's not one position anymore. It's not just a running back or a quarterback or a line. Every position is needed throughout the NFL right now. So, I mean, this draft should be pretty boring. It's going to be pretty straightforward.
Well, isn't that the point of through rules and a salary cap and all the other little, things they put into the rule book? Isn't that the way they force parity in the NFL and they're doing in other leagues, to where they make it so no matter how strong of a team you are, you're always going to have that one really suspect or questionable position or need. And that's when people say, where's the parity? They can point to every team and say, see, every team's got a glaring hole in their fucking armor. You just got to know how to exploit it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, with the way that everybody's getting old, man. Jamal Charles, AP, Manning, Brady, they're all getting old. Ben Roethlisberger. All of the
I know, but we've already covered that though, dude, and we know there's up and coming players. What I'm saying is, regardless of the age of the players, you're either ignoring what I'm saying or you're not getting what I'm saying. The way the game is rigged is to constantly make sure teams have a glaring need for something. And it forces parity, in theory at least.
Oh, no, I got you. Yeah, the salary cap and everything. You have to sacrifice a defensive lineman to get a hell of a linebacker. You have to sacrifice, a tight end to get a great wideout. No, I'm with you. I am. But moreover, this season than previous, for a while now anyway, there are so many more holes and so many different teams because of retirements and injuries and other things. So, yeah, I get you with the salary cap, but moreover, with everything else that's going on, there's so much need. Everybody, including Joe Mixon's going to get drafted.
Yeah, but these turnovers in the NFL, they're not exactly 1 or 2 season things. I mean, there's kind of a window period, there's kind of a window over maybe like a 4 or 5 season period where, you start to see the old guard retire or have to retire or play their way into obscurity, and the young guard starts coming up. And I mean, what was the last one? I mean, that would be like, what, 99 to 2004?
I would say, yeah, about 97 to 2002, actually. It was Brett Favre, John Elway, that era.
Elway was on the way out. Favre was on the way up. You had Peyton Manning come in. You had Tom Brady come in. And that's just,
Barry
we're just
Sanders.
talking. Well, I mean, I was just purely quarterbacks. Yeah, you had a lot of the old, the quote unquote old guard, going, all right, it's been real, it's been fun, see you later. So I mean, that might be we might just be in another one of them cycles, man. We might be so smack dab in the middle of it that we don't realize it's been going on for a couple of years. I mean, I don't know.
No, I think it's pretty much just starting. If you want to look at just quarterbacks, we've talked about this. Drew Brees, Tom Brady, but he won't quit.
Why would he?
Ben Roethlisberger.
I think last season, Calvin Johnson walking away pretty much signaled the beginning of, that early 2000s till now era, kind of, doing their farewell tour. Granted, he come after, obviously, well after 2002, but I mean, he was considered, the elite for the time he was in there. And yeah, he went young, but we're starting to also see that. That's also another factor. There's players that are retiring younger and younger. For every Tom Brady, there's 5 players from last season. Granted, they don't have name recognition like Tom Brady, but they retired after 3-4 seasons, some of them after 2-3 seasons. And when they asked him why, they said, because I want to retire when I can still have my health and remember playing the game. That's become a bigger factor. So, I don't know. But ultimately, I agree with you about the draft, though. I don't think it's going to be a fucking very exciting draft. I don't see anybody that's like making me stand up and woo, I want to see where they go. It's just not there.
No, because you usually see, I'll trade you 5 draft picks and my number 1 for your number 1. And I'll trade my star quarterback and 3 years of first-round draft picks for your second and third round. You see a whole bunch of moves. This year, I don't see it. Everybody needs everything. And I think there was reports, that have been filed that the draft isn't that deep. Yeah, it is. There's a lot of good players coming out of college this year that'll do a lot of great things for a lot of teams.
Yeah, but there's not that core of holy shit guys. That's what I'm getting at. Like, it's not.
Okay, so talked about football for like an hour. Do we got anything else from the combine and all this mess?
Nothing I can think of off the top of my head, except for another year came and went, and I don't give a fuck about what Rich Eisen did as far as running the 40. So
yeah, he just does in his suit.
I noticed he does put cleats on, so
Rich Eisen.
That's a nice touch.
I think it amuses him and his coworkers more than it does the rest of us. I think it was funny, like the first year. I'm not trying to shit on Rich Eisen because I actually like the guy. I think he's funny. I like his show. I enjoy him. Like, he is my first choice for Sunday morning coverage. But yeah, I mean, the suit thing, I think it's run its course. He wasn't. I know he was in at least one, but I think he was in maybe a few Adam Sandler movies. Usually playing a cop or a fireman or something like that. He strikes me as that type of guy that, like, Adam Sandler movies are made for him. So it makes sense that every year he gets out there and runs, runs at the combine.
Do a broken lizard type shit.
Yeah, just for some reason it fits his personality. Like, he just seems like he's a beer and a shot type guy that enjoys, like, the humor that's seen as a little off color these days, I mean, he did do stand-up for a minute, he says, when he was younger, before he got into broadcasting. Yeah. Well, if I remember correctly, I want to say he was in the remake of The Longest Yard as one of the cops that busted him for Adam Sandler to go to prison. And then I want to say he played a cop in I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry. And I think in both of them he said some politically incorrect lines, but they were funny. So he gets a pass, because if it wasn't funny, that's a bigger sin. That Chuck and Larry movie has its moments that are fucking hilarious. Dude, no shit, man. I'm sorry. Ving Rhames in the shower. I'm every woman. Dude, that had me dying, bro. No, the scene that had me dying was initially when they first got inspected, and he was like, oh, yeah, we're like so gay. It was just cocks and balls flying everywhere. Like, I don't know, maybe I was super high that night, but I was dying laughing. When he goes shopping and they're putting what they think is gay things in there, and they find the Wham record.
The mothership.
Oh, hey, did you hear that they released George Michael's official cause of death? They said natural causes from heart disease and a fatty liver. So, thinly veiled drugs, like drug abuse, The effects from drug abuse killed him, because that's what you get when you beat your shit out of drugs. I mean, or at least the drugs he liked.
I mean, it's along the lines of drug abuse, but it's sports related. Last week when we talked about the trans wrestler who was forced to wrestle females, one of the things that, Earl, you kept bringing up, that for some reason, I don't know if it was I was hearing you wrong or I just wasn't hearing you for whatever reason. You were like, look, here's the deal. She's on hormones, or he is on hormones. Those you can't take and wrestle, period, if you're the same sex. So why should he be able to wrestle on them? What's interesting is it didn't fully hit me that you were bringing that up until I listened to Howard Stern's interview with Lance Armstrong about him coming back to cycling after his cancer treatment, and how a lot of the things they did to bring him back up to shape to get into cycling are now banned in cycling. But at that point, it was like one of those gray areas. And it makes me think, okay, yeah, he admitted to using performance-enhancing drugs, but seems to me he kind of had an unfair advantage. I know it's weird to say that coming back from cancer, but if they were doing hormone replacement therapy on him, because he did lose a testicle, wouldn't that give him at least some sort of, on paper, edge over his competition?
Absolutely would. Absolutely would. And that's why he had to vacate his wins. But you know what? Good on him. Because he beat cancer. And I don't care if it was performance enhanced or not. Good on it, okay? The thing I was talking about is the exact same thing. You're absolutely right. This guy uses testosterone and hormones and all kinds of things to make his transition, and there's no level playing ground that you're ever going to be able to compete on. Not on a football field, not on a wrestling mat, hockey rink, a bicycle. You're just going to be superior no matter what you do, because you're injecting yourself with that.
Yeah, and it really drove it home, like I said, when I heard the Lance Armstrong interview, and I was like, yeah, why did that never get brought up at the time? It was because this was separate stuff than what he did and admitted to as far as doping. This was stuff that was given to him in the line of his treatment. And unfortunately, it was something that once they actually thought about it, it was giving him an unfair advantage, at least on paper. I don't know how much. I know that his cancer was bad. I mean, it had metastasized and it spread throughout him. So I mean, he went through some rigorous chemo to get rid of that. You and I both, Earl, have seen cancer firsthand when it's like that. You know what I'm saying? And we know what people go through with the chemo and the radiation for that. So I mean, he went through, according to the interview, 3-month cycle, I guess you would call it, and was pronounced cancer-free and has been ever since. So that must have been really aggressive treatment, and that must have kicked his ass. But yeah, still, once again, you're getting something that other athletes aren't getting, even though it's in the line of treatment. Maybe he shouldn't even have raced while he was getting that, while he was recovering from his cancer treatment.
Now, see, you're right. You and I both have had our stint with cancer and watched people. The difference with me and Lance Armstrong, with me and probably any other athlete, is you didn't know if he had time to race afterwards or not, bro. Okay? And if that was his time, then that was his time. If people want to look at it and say he cheated, well, maybe he did. Maybe he did. But death was literally knocking on that man's door.
Look, I understand, and you're
no. I know
what I'm saying is he himself has said there was difference between the drugs he took once he was cancer free and the drugs he took in recovering from his cancer treatment.
No, I got that.
Okay,
but even with the cancer free, quote unquote, and taking the hormone replacement and the PEDs, this isn't Barry Bonds trying to hit a home run record. This isn't a kid making the choice to go to become a man because he doesn't like boobs or whatnot. This is a man that looked death in the face and said, oh, shit, went through hellified treatment, and then came back to compete in a sport. The only reason The only reason I'm okay with it, because it doesn't matter now, he's vacated his win. The only reason I'm okay with it is because he had to face death. So yeah, if after he was cancer-free and after all the, replacement hormone and he used some PEDs to get back to what he used to be, it wasn't his choice to lose it in the first place. And good on the man. At least he lived the way he wanted to live at the time.
Well, he's paid a heavy price according to an interview, and I'm not talking just about endorsements and money. I'm talking about he was so adamant about going after anyone who accused him of doping, even before, and there was accusations before he ever was diagnosed with cancer. Let's not forget that. I understand that it's a very emotional issue, and some people are going to see it through that lens, and that's fine. All right, whatever. But he was a bulldog about attacking people and suing people for slander when really they were telling the truth on him, And to me, when I heard his apology, I was like, yeah, you better be contrite about that shit. Because that has nothing to do with the sport. That has nothing to do with I saw death and I got scared and so I panicked and did anything I could do to feel alive. No, that is, you're lying. You're not telling the truth, and you're willing to fuck someone else's life up and drag them through court in the process and all the money that comes along with that on that lie.
Well,
so that's
actually,
where
it kind of is.
To me, that's his biggest faux pas in the entire thing.
Again, and it's just me, in my opinion. I excuse that and I accept his apology because they were trying to take away the one thing he wanted to do before he died, and he was damn near there. And so what if he did use them? So what? The man's about dead. He has to go through so much shit that, most people don't even want to think about, even after they've seen it.
I'll say it, then don't compete. I mean, it's... Oh, God, man, I sound like a cold, heartless motherfucker right now. But just because you're going through something that could kill you, doesn't mean you should still compete. Then, pull yourself out, do what you got to do, and then jump back in the game. I mean,
I agree with you 100%. He shouldn't have.
Look,
but
man,
at the same time, the whole journey of Lance Armstrong is so very, very inspiring to me. For the listeners who don't know, that I haven't made clear to, I lost my wife at her ripe age of 32 to skin cancer. It only took her 3 months to kill her. And to watch somebody go through what he went through and come out the other side and still, with PEDs or without, whatever he did, and able to make that much of a leap, I have to tip my hat, because I've been far too many times at the other end of the spectrum when they didn't make the climb back.
And ladies and gentlemen who are listening, this is what's known as a no-win situation for anyone who says anything contrary to what Earl just said. This is one of those situations we love here in America now. And it's through no fault of your own, Earl. Please don't think I'm putting this at your feet. It's just the nature of I guess human nature. I mean, I can think of 5 arguments to throw out, but you're speaking from a personal point of view about a subject that's very personal to you. And I guess as much as I'm not a fan of self-censorship or whatever, this is one of them subjects that's just like, you know what? If anybody's listening thinking, why aren't they jumping? Why Rich and him go at it like fucking 2 rabid pit bulls all the time. Why ain't he fucking jumping in there? It's just not a subject that I feel fucking it's worth ripping scabs open. So I guess if you got a problem with that, you can call me a hypocrite. Send your hate mail to ChristopherMedia.net.
Sporgy.
Whatever the fuck.
Sporgy
at ChristopherMedia.net.
No, see, and here's the thing.
Anyone
I'm
whose wife
okay
didn't die
with
at 32
admitting
of
that
cancer
you
wants
guys
to
are
argue with me, I'll be more than happy to argue with you.
Correct. Completely right. He shouldn't have competed. He cheated. Shouldn't have competed. I get it all. And you're 100% right. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying I absolutely love his story because of the journey the man made.
I
and that's a
understand,
personal
dude.
thing for me.
Okay. I have people that I'll never meet who have in some way or another affected my life, whether it be through entertainment, art, music, whatever, who have went through stuff and they did a lot of horrible shit until they got their act together. And I give them leniency because I know a lot of people in my personal life that have been in some deep, shit as far as addiction or whatever, and what they did. And I've seen people be contrite and genuinely have remorse for what they turned into when they were in the grips of that addiction. So I tend to go, okay, I'll give you a second chance, a lot quicker than on a lot of other subjects when it comes to that one. So we all have our something. I mean, that's just all there is to it. It's just, I feel like I was tentative to even bring up the subject, to be honest with you, because of the personal nature. But at the same time, I don't think there's a need to sit here and fucking go tooth and nail back at each other over this subject. Like I said, anybody that's fucking listening that's got a problem with it, whose wife didn't die at 32 of cancer, feel free to fucking email. I'll argue with you all day. Because as far as I'm concerned, if you haven't been in that situation, then I'm not ripping off scabs in your case. We're just having a debate. So
well, not just Lance Armstrong, Eric Berry for the Chiefs. He did the exact same thing. He didn't use PEDs. He did it all natural, supposedly. Nobody has any evidence to the contrary, and I'm not going to start it now.
And now he's getting paid.
So
that is karma. You don't believe in karma? Look at Eric Berry's situation. That might be some evidence for you.
Well, no matter what, it's an interesting subject, and it has science and the ability for people to bounce back. I mean, because look at Mario Lemieux. He retired because due to leukemia, and then he came back and he still played at a fucking ridiculously high level, and no one thought he was going to be able to do that. I mean, and the survival rates and the recovery time is just going to keep getting shorter and shorter the more and more progress we make in these things, and eventually this is going to have to be a subject that is going to have to be addressed in sports.
Jim Kelly as well.
People are going to get sick. People are going to get treatment, and they're going to have to make some rules, or they're going to have to tell people you're going to have to sit out until you're done with all your treatments, and if that requires, some form of human, growth hormone or hormone replacement, that is against our. That's on our banned substance list. We're sorry you're going through what you're going through, but as long as you're on it, you can't play, or they're going to have to make exceptions for those rules. And so, once again, it's not something we got to go over today because we just be dealing in the hypothetical world, but it is something that I feel is going to come up in sports sooner or later. Same way as Tommy John surgery was controversial when it first, came into the professional baseball. Is he going to be able to make it back? And then when they saw pitchers come back from it, and some pitchers, more so these days, come back and pitch even better than they did before and have a stronger arm. Now there's a school of thought in baseball that the sooner you blow your arm out, the sooner you get Tommy John surgery, the more it benefits you in the long run, because it almost strengthens your arm in a way that naturally couldn't have happened. And granted, it's they're both fruits, but it is apples to oranges, ultimately, between that and, hormones and steroids or whatever for people that need those. But we don't shit. Who was Jason Johnson used to pitch for the Tigers. He was so badly diabetic, he had an insulin regulator on the back of his belt every time he pitched.
Nice.
I remember people used to joke that they thought it looked like a beeper. They thought he was a drug dealer on the mound.
Hey, wait, hold up. Hey, yo, dog, it's 3-2. I'll hit you up in like an hour.
Hey, I'll catch you over by Corktown Tavern. Just, let me get my 100 pitches in.
Yeah, I got a full count on this dude. It's like top of the fourth. Like, I had to call timeout to make this call.
I'll meet you in the State Bar across the street.
Yeah.
In the bathroom stall, third bathroom. Don't tap your foot, though. There might be a Republican politician in there.
Yeah.
Back to your original thing there, Rich. Yeah. The difference for me is Lance didn't have a choice. This kid did.
Well, look, if you want to fucking debate that with Chris, be more than welcome. I'm not going over that shit again. We beat that story fucking to death. But ultimately, yes, if you're given hormones for whatever reason, whether you want them or not, on paper, you are having an unfair advantage given to you. And that's all there is to it. Now, how you choose to decide which one is a sin and which one isn't, based upon whether you need it or you chose it, that's, to me, neither here nor there. Rules in sports are black and white. It's one of the very few things in life where you can be black and white. Was he safe or wasn't he? You know, did the ball break the plane or didn't it? Was he onside or was he offside? You know, and
was he in the crease or not?
The rules, exactly. And guess what? Rules are there for a reason. And if they don't like them, they change them. I mean, isn't that what baseball's doing? Aren't they looking at a bunch of rule changes right now? Chris, you brought that up in pre-show.
Yeah, there are stand by.
7.
Well, I know the intentional walk.
Yeah, 7 rule changes. They're killing the 4-pitch intentional walk.
Yep.
They are.
That's a huge change, y'all. We'll run them down and then we'll go over them. By the way, guys, we got like an hour left, just to give you a heads up on kind of where my time limit's at.
Right.
30-second limit for a manager to decide whether to challenge a play or invoke a replay review. When the manager has exhausted his challenges for the game, crew chiefs may now invoke replay review for non-home run calls beginning in the 8th inning instead of the 7th inning. A conditional 2-minute guideline for replay officials to render a decision on replay review, allowing various exceptions. A prohibition on the use of any markers on the field that could create a tangible reference system for fielders. In addition to Rule 5.07, formalizes an umpire interpretation by stipulating that a pitcher may not take a second step toward home plate with either foot or otherwise reset his pivot foot in his delivery of the pitch. If there is at least one runner on base, then such an action will be called as a balk under Rule 6.02. If the bases are unoccupied, then it will be considered an illegal pitch under Rule 6.02. An amendment to Rule 5.03 requires base coaches to position themselves behind the line of the coach's box closest to home plate at the front line that runs parallel to the foul line prior to each pitch. Once a ball is put in play, a base coach is allowed to leave the coach's box to signal a player so long as the coach does not interfere with play. And there you go. Chew on that, guys.
Some of those baseball rules are so much baseball rules. Because baseball rules, to quote Beetlejuice, read like stereo instructions half the time.
Well, yeah, and I would say 6 out of 7 are ticky-tack.
That's baseball rules for you, especially when it comes to balks.
Yeah, but number one, you hit it right there, ICEman.
That's huge.
No more intentional walk. How long has that been around?
As far as I know, ever since, if I remember correctly, from living in upstate New York nearest Cooperstown, there used to be a baseball league that played by the original rules, and the original rules was you had 3 swings, but you could take as many balls as you wanted. And because of the length of the game and guys being up there being picky, they implemented the, 4 balls is a walk, 3 strikes or 3 swings and a miss, or 2 foul-offs and a swing and a miss is an out. So that's got to at least be over 100 years. And for anyone who goes, I don't see what the big deal is, pass balls, throwing over, under to wide of the catcher, throwing too much and catching too much of the plate, and having a player fucking hit the ball, which Miguel Cabrera has done. At least he's the last one that comes to mind. I know it's happened a few other times also. All those things. If you have a runner on third and you're doing an intentional walk and it's a pass ball, that's a run right there. I could decide a game. Now you're taking that variable out.
Yeah, it was a strategy thing. It was a way to not pitch to guys that are dangerous in dangerous situations. I'm using the same word twice, but it's what are they thinking here, guys? Is this to speed up gameplay or what? It's
under the auspices of that, as far as I understand. I mean, but you also have to remember there was a point where I know it happened to Barry Bonds. I can't remember who else. I think it either happened to Sosa or McGuire when they were going through their home run streaks there. But the bases were loaded, and instead of pitch to him, they walked a run in because they thought, okay, we'd rather give up one run than him hit a home run, clear the bases, hit a double into a gap, get 2, possibly 3 runs in. We'd rather just concede the 1 run and take our chances with the next batter. That's baseball strategy right there. I mean, that's right there with the double switch. That's right there with relief pitchers, specialist, left-handed specialist to face left-handed batters, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, it's going to be I mean, it's not a game breaker for me. It's not something I'm not going to watch baseball over, but it's definitely going to take something out of the game for me. Let's put it that way.
And just why?
To me, those few seconds they get, because I'm just pulling numbers out of my ass. Let's say there's 2 intentional walks per game. You're saving what? Maybe a total of a minute and a half?
Well, not just that. Think about this. They could still intentionally walk them.
Yeah, pitch around them.
Right. They can't pitch out to them. Pitch high, pitch low, pitch in.
Yeah, that's here in Detroit, Mario Mpemba, our local play-by-play guy, he's infamous for saying, that's the unintentional 4-pitch walk right there. When they have a hot batter, but they don't want to give in to his ego, which is more mind games, which is what a lot of baseball is about, honestly. But they don't want to do an intentional walk, so they try to nibble at the corners and see if they can get him to swing at some garbage. So that's.
And hey, aren't they doing something in the World Baseball Classic that they're talking about instituting in the league? It's something like an extra innings. They put like a guy on first base or something like that right off the bat. Some shit like that.
I believe it's the minor leagues, and it's a runner on second.
Yeah,
fuck that.
No, I think they're doing it in the World Baseball Classic because they've been doing it around the world, and we're apparently one of the last. We're last on this train, apparently.
Well, I know that listening to another podcast.
Did we just blow your mind, Earl?
Kinda. Say that again.
Extra innings. You start off. They start off with the game. They put a man on second.
Oh hell no!
It's another thing to speed the game up. Starting with the 13th, it is happening in the World Baseball Classic. Starting with the 13th inning, teams automatically start with runners on first and second base. These players are in the 2 batting order positions previous to the leadoff batter of the inning. In the qualifying round of the 2017 tournament, the extra inning rule will be employed from the 11th inning. So there you go.
Well, I mean,
we're all silent.
If they try it,
what?
If they try it, and for whatever reason, the majority of fans don't object to it, which I cannot see happening, because baseball more than most other sports. I mean, even sports around the world that aren't as popular here, they really rely on tradition. That's one of the big cornerstones of that sport. And I mean, to me, this makes
pastime.
This makes giving the American League a designated hitter
look like nothing.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, this makes interleague play look like nothing. This is changing the whole dynamic of a game, because once you start getting past, okay, you have your starter, let's say he goes 6, you put your 7th, 8th, and 9th inning guys in there. Say 9th inning guy blows it. Okay, well, your closer's gone. All right, so now it becomes a chess match. Do you put a long reliever in there? If you're in the National League, do you waste a long reliever knowing that, 1.5 times, through the batting order, or 4 more outs, you're going to have to replace him for a hitter anyways? Do you put a short reliever in there? Okay, well, will that affect if he can pitch the next day, and so on and so forth? I mean, to me, it's kind of like the argument against the designated hitter. It's taking strategy out of the manager's hands. Do I pinch hit for my hot pitcher who's in there and we're up by 1 run, or do I let him go in there and basically concede an out?
I mean, it's like Bill Belichick always, he comes up with a strategy no matter what happens, who's there and all that. The baseball managers are going to come up with a different strategy, to work around the no intentional walk. That's not my issue. My issue is that's part of the game you're taking out. That's not a rule. That would be like saying in football you can't pitch the ball. You have to literally hand the ball off. If you pitch it, it's a penalty.
What was it? I remember reading not that long ago. Forward pass was just instituted in like the last 80 years or something. I mean, think about that. What's football without the forward pass?
Not much.
I mean, can you imagine
a lot of running up the middle?
Exactly.
It's rugby.
You can lateral, you can pitch, and that's it. And you can hand off. Do a direct handoff. That's all you can do.
That's rugby.
Yeah.
Jerry Rice has no career without the forward pass.
So, I mean, and granted, it's 80 years ago, so we look at it like, ancient history, but you look at how long college football's been around and how old some of these programs are. They played for quite a while without the forward pass. So, somewhere down the line, just because we weren't around to hear it, doesn't mean that someone had to be bitching about it one way or the other. I mean, rule changes are never met with, unanimous praise. That's never going to happen. Someone's going to be bitching about it.
All right, guys, here we go. Magic question. How long till intersports play? 10 years? 15? 20?
Basketball version?
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? Instead of that, can we just bring back the Rock and Jock from MTV?
I know, right?
Speaking of Rock and Jock,
you're the first person to say that in like 20 years, by the way.
I know. This is mildly sports related, but it's interesting. Apparently the East Coast West Coast Biggie Tupac beef between Michael Rappaport and Dan Lebatard.
Oh shit!
Is quickly reaching Crips and Bloods, or if you're a little less prone to the urban analogy, Cuban Missile Crisis status. Mm-hmm. So apparently those motherfuckers are just gonna at some point see each other across a WWF ring, rip their shirts off, hop in there, and just start pile driving each other.
Now, it's Rappaport and Lebatard like the host, or?
Yeah, Lebatard, but then it's Rappaport, and a couple of Lebatard's co-host, and I think one of his producers decided. Stugatz is one of them. His dad, basically the whole thing started over. Lebatard said a comment about, how you're going to give Magic Johnson, president of basketball operations, with no experience. The only thing that got him there is his history with the team and, his smile. Basically, he charmed his way into the job. And Rappaport came out and I think he took the cheap way out of looking at it. Instead of just attacking what he said, he decided to try to throw the racism card in there and say, well, why weren't you saying this about John Lynch? Et cetera, et cetera. And Lebatard had some sort of snappy, witty comeback, and Rappaport was like, well, what did I expect from... No, excuse me. And then Michael Rappaport ended it by saying, but what can I expect from a guy whose father's only on ESPN because of him? So, it basically calling him out, saying if you're going to call out Magic Johnson for getting a job based on who he is and charm, then your father should have no business on fucking ESPN radio or television. So,
who's his dad?
One of his co-hosts. His dad is like the comedic relief. He sits there and in heavily accented English.
Is that the old announcer guy? Is it the Dan Lebatard and Stugatz? Yeah. Is that guy?
I believe so. Yes.
His announcer.
So I just think it's interesting. It's like, watching two guys who love sports but never played try to act like, they're going to have like a Barkley Lambeer feud, and I'm like, it's just cute. You guys keep going back and forth. Let your Twitter fingers do the talking.
But I think, I don't know. I mean, sure, Lebatard's on the radio every day. But what's it? Rappaport ain't a comedian. I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to get into a shit-talking war with Rappaport. Seems like he'd win.
Oh, he's a good shit talker. From him being in fantasy football leagues on Howard Stern and hearing how he goes at those guys, he's one of those guys that every single day of the week you get about 4 emails from him talking shit about his fantasy football team and talking shit about yours.
Oh, I would love to be in a league with him. I am of belief in my fantasy football league there is not enough shit talking. It's like me and one other dude who just talk shit to each other all year because everyone else is a bunch of pussies.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those big talkers. So
I like that video that you sent about. I'm going to play it real quick. Rappaport talked about the highlight reels, and the guy's team were making a big deal about a dunk that wasn't.
Yes, go ahead and play it. This shit is funny.
Last night, something happened that I hope never happens ever again. A guy named Willie Cauley-Stein, who plays for the Sacramento Kings, who may or may not be Jewish. If you are, shalom, missed the dunk.
Cauley-Stein! He's fouled! He just missed.
Yes, he does not make this
I
dunk.
haven't seen so many people get so fucking excited about something that didn't happen. The dunk that didn't fucking happen. Watch his teammates on the bench jumping around like chicken heads on Myrtle Avenue. You want to get excited about a dunk? You want something to get your little panties moist? That's a fucking dunk. That's to get excited about. You want to get excited about a fucking dunk? That's a fucking dunk. Don't hashtag make shit go viral that didn't happen. This skinny genification is taking over the NBA and it needs to stop. Stop bleaching your fucking hair, take off your skinny fucking jeans, and make your fucking dunks. Yo.
Is skinny genification, is that Rappaport's way of calling people snowflakes?
I think so. It's a term I haven't heard before, but it's rather apt because I do notice at least like when I'm, seeing the pregame stuff, I'm starting to see more and more skinny jeans. And what I love is when they mix skinny jeans with sagging, because it just looks like they shop. Like I didn't know they sold Garanimals and with a 62 inseam or whatever the fuck. You know what I'm saying?
Or it looks like you shit your pants in your skinny jeans.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but I thought that was a good point. Like, what's that? What are we doing here, people? Like, what now? We cheer. That miss looked great. I mean, when we were kids, there were lots of misses that looked great, but in the end, it's a miss, so you don't get to celebrate it, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was this dime piece I knew in high school, and I danced with her, and I got, she was like grinding up on me, and if I'd have been smoother, I'd have probably been up in it, but I wasn't. But boy, me and my friends celebrated like I did. No, come the fuck on, dude.
I know, right?
Coffee's for closers. ABC, always be closing. If you ain't making a dunk, you ain't got nothing to be jumping up and down off the bench about.
Yeah.
It's like Roy Williams, the Lions behind by 21 points. He makes a first down. It's a nothing play in the fucking fourth quarter. Gets up and does the first down dance like he's Michael Irvin. Sit the fuck down. Jackass.
You got nothing to say about this, ICEman? It's like in your wheelhouse.
I'm not a Rappaport fan. Just not.
Oh. So you can't agree with something that somebody you don't like says, even though it might be right? All right.
It's not that. It's just the fact that I don't follow him. So.
Well, honestly, there's not much to follow as far as sports goes. I mean, I'm sure he does do, I think, some appearances here and there on ESPN, and I know he does probably more so on ESPN radio. But, I mean, it's not like he's a fucking fixture. I don't think he's getting a paycheck from him. So, it's just a very passionate sports fan with a very passionate opinion. And I'd be lying if I said that when he goes off on rants sometimes, I'm not thinking like, God damn, I sound just like him when I go off on rants. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, shit. Well, I guess since we're coming around the home stretch here, we should fill in the listeners. ICEman has a theory that he's been putting out for the last couple weeks. I won't go so far as to call it a conspiracy theory.
Oh, you're going to actually give this airtime? Go ahead, man. Well, we can have fun with it.
He apparently
just remember, Rich, we're building the monster. We are right now. We are Dr. Frankenstein. We have the body up. The lightning storm's happening. This is on us. Just putting that disclaimer on it.
I understand, but like the intro says, we're half-ass sports fans with our half-ass sports opinions. Here's the deal. I think people would rather listen to us argue about sports than agree about it.
That's true. Better podcast. That's why most people listen to. Like, I don't listen to people go, "Yes, I agree with you." Moving on. That's true.
Anyways, Earl seems to think that some people around the sports world listen to our show because we'll talk about something, a particular subject, and it'll get brought up on our show, and then 4 or 5 days later, boom, it's on the 4-letter network or Fox Sports somewhere.
And they're taking our side.
Yes, and basically repeating in a much more PG, family-friendly way what we said. The latest one being the hockey news. You know, the weekly, Bible for hockey has come out and said that the product on the ice is boring, which to me is amazing to hear because. That'd be like,
aren't they Bettman's
NFL
lapdogs usually?
I'm sorry, say again.
Aren't they Bettman's lapdogs usually?
To be honest with you, I don't know, dude. It's been so many years since I read it on a regular basis. I'm talking pre-mid-aughts lockout. I guess is the last time I read it on a regular basis.
Not so much Bettman's lapdogs as they've always had the mentality of like, what's that movie, The Program? The program is good. We love the program.
It'd be like the NFL Network coming out with an hour-long special about how their product on the field is shit. Well, we all know who pays the NFL Network's fucking salaries. Hockey news, yeah, they do cover international hockey, minor league hockey. I mean, to a much lesser extent, but ultimately their bread and butter is in the NHL. So I think it is interesting for them to come out and say it. I hope, for the sake of the sport, that they listen. It's not blown off. It's not taken as, it was just something they needed to fill a few pages, or they needed an article by the time they went to, because I found it online. I'm not sure if it was in a magazine actually, but take it to heart, listen to it, because they make valid points. You have some of the most talented players on paper, not in scoring necessarily, but I'm talking, as far as ability, skating ability, speed, hand-eye coordination, stick handling, that have ever played the game, and yet scoring's only a fraction higher than it was, a couple seasons ago, and it's nowhere near what it was when hockey was pretty much at its peak in the late 80s, early to mid-90s. So, one of the things they brought up is rule changes, and I guess some of the rule changes that people are balking the most at is the size of goalie equipment. And it was interesting reading comments on the article, because even people, and granted, none of these people's names I recognize, so they probably didn't play in the NHL, but I take them at their word when their profile pic is
or even worse, maybe they have, and it's been within the last 5 to 10 years.
Maybe they have, but they even guys were like, I played a little minor league hockey, or I played college hockey, and this equipment's getting out of hand. It's way big, especially I guess the width of the chest protector that they wear is really being called into question, because it's just way wider than needs to be. It's no longer for protection. And they're saying the size of the trapper. And I got to say something. I noticed that starting years ago, that these trappers kept getting bigger and bigger and floppier and floppier. I mean, it seriously went from looking like, the virgin you took to prom to the 45-year-old chick that you finally settle down and get married to. You know what I'm saying? There was a big difference in the size of that glove there. So that one I could agree with. Cut down on the size of the trapper.
I found that a pad for each testicle seems rather excessive.
Well, I know, but there's already restrictions based on the size of the goalie, on the size of their leg pads and stuff. So why not do the same thing with the rest of the protection they wear and go, look, you don't need to go up there with a goddamn neck roll like you're a fucking fullback from 1976. Seriously, you're stopping pucks. We're not trying to keep your neck from breaking because it's snapping back because you're running with the crown of your helmet straight in a gaggle of men trying to kill you.
Something so homoerotic about the entire phrase you just said.
Well, that's on the next show. We cover how all of sports is homoerotic, especially according to its detractors.
Oh, that reminds me. Chris, you do have the signal scrambled, right? I just closed my wire mesh fence. So.
Yeah, gotcha.
Nobody eavesdropping on our podcast, yo.
Oh, all right. What's the second biggest state we get listens is it's out of Virginia. Just saying. You never know.
Langley!
Maybe we'll be in that WikiLeaks shit for the CIA, the shit that came out today. But that's another podcast.
Yeah, I was going to say, I do the sports podcast today. I've done my best to only look at sports shit.
Gotcha.
But yeah, as someone who used to dick around playing goalie, granted, not we weren't organized like beer league teams or minor league players. I mean, what's your thoughts on that, Earl?
No, I don't think the goalie pads need to be bigger. I played with some plastic shit on my fucking knees and a baseball glove and a blocker.
Yeah, not a first baseman's baseball glove either. We're talking like just a shortstop infield baseball glove, not that big fucking extra fucking mitt. So
and I didn't even have a chest protector. So no, I think the size of the goalie equipment should be regulated. Maybe the thickness shouldn't. If they're worried about their fragile little bodies getting bruised, bumped, whatever. I saw the other day a goalie stopped a puck because it went in his jersey. But no, just at this point you're basically putting Stay Puft in the net.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at. Not the thickness of it, but okay. I believe right now Reebok has the NHL jersey rights. Next year it's going to be Adidas, so the jerseys are going to change a little bit. Usually with teams like the Red Wings, the original 6 teams, unless they're going for an overhaul on their image, teams that aren't going to change their logo, it's going to be more of the cut of the jersey, the fit of the jersey. I think this is a perfect time to make the jerseys on the goalies a lot more form-fitting. It's not like it's restricting their movement. The pads would restrict their movement if they would be more of a threat to restrict their movement than the jersey, is what I'm saying. I'm not talking you got to put the coat on the kid like from A Christmas Story where he can't even put his arms down, but some of these jerseys I see these guys wearing, I'm like, God damn, man, I know 800-pound guys that thing would be loose on.
They come with a bubble wrap lining.
Shop being a big and tall and shit.
Yeah. When your jersey size begins with 8 and ends with another number, that's a little excessive, okay? Yeah, that's a little too large,
And personally, I like Reebok's jerseys. They need to go back to that in the NFL because they had the fucking embroidery on them. None of this Lee press-on shit that fades after 10 washes.
Yeah, I know. I had one. I had an All-Star jersey that was like that, and then I won't talk about it because I'll go into a fit of rage, and I've already done that a few times on this show today. But yeah, I guess they're reviewing the offsides rule as well. That one I'm like, I don't think you should really touch it that much. Sadly, I don't really have a whole lot of suggestions to improve scoring or to raise it up. I believe they said it's like 5 and roughly every game's averaging around 5.5 goals per game. Whereas I remember a time when it would be, a 5-3 game was the average, back in the, 80s, 90s. And now you're talking about a game that's averaging between both teams 5.5 goals. If the rule changes you implemented are getting you these results, logic dictates you need to revisit the rule changes that you've made that are getting you these results. That's just all there is to it. So they have to. They have to.
Are you saying higher or lower?
If they want scoring to go up, like they keep saying they do, They implemented rule changes in '96. They implemented rule changes after the lockout in the mid 2000s, and scoring has continued to go down. I guess it's kind of plateaued in the last 3 seasons, to where I think this season scoring is higher than last season, but not as high as 2 seasons ago. But I'm talking like, hundredths of a point. I mean, barely noticeable. So if they want blowout games, if they want 7-5 games, 9-6 games, they're going to have to open the game up, maybe increase the size of the ice. I've heard a few suggestions that were being thrown around that if a team's on a power play and the team that's shorthanded scores the goal, that automatically ends the power play for the team that got scored on. A couple changes to overtime rules. Which, I mean, they've tweaked. I mean, we went to the shootout, and then now it's 3-on-3 overtime. I don't know what more you can do. What are you gonna have? 1-on-1 hockey out there? No goalie, a garbage can. Just put a garbage can in each net and drop the puck at center ice and let them guys slug it out 1-on-1. I don't know what else you can do, man.
Start all games at 1-1. All right, and go take some cues from baseball now.
Rich, I remember talking to you at the beginning of the season that the hockey scores look like baseball scores.
Yeah, well, the stats across the season so far that didn't continue. I mean, I'm going by the NHL's own stats. So for games we were watching, we must have been watching the high scoring games, and the other games must have been some real low scoring games. I don't know. I happen to watch the Red Wings, and they are officially out of the playoffs, I believe.
Oh, there it is, everybody.
So they're, everybody's scoring on them. It seems like those games, and on top of it, it really does seem like their record in overtime is horrendous. So it seems like that's where they lose the games, to me. So I couldn't really tell you what the rest of the league looks like because I don't have access to it. Thank you, NHL. Thank you for not being on a national sports network except for once a week. I appreciate it. That's another way to get some excitement in your game. Actually let people watch it. Find a way to get it into people's houses without them having to actively search it out. Don't treat the NHL like it's the NFL, to where you have to pay $300 a year for some silly fucking package, and then regulate that package only to satellite and 1 or 2 cable providers. Hey, if you want people to watch your sport, you got to make it accessible, especially when they're not clamoring for it.
That'll never work.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I would really like to see the subscriber statistics for center ice outside of Canada, because I guarantee you they're really low.
Is there still an NHL network?
Yeah.
And it's on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I mean, I believe they might go to like paid programming in the middle of the night, like a lot of.
Oh, someone telling us the Shark.
As a lot of lower end
the Ninja
pay stations go.
What's the one now? The Copper Pan.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Last one I saw is the one supposedly that you can make bacon cupcakes and fry eggs in, and it cleans up easy. Just wipe it out and all this good shit. And I was like, wow, another piece of equipment that I got to buy that no one's going to use. Wonderful.
Bacon cupcakes. I want to make those.
But yeah, I don't see what the NHL can do besides looking at the rule changes they've implemented and seeing the results and going in the opposite direction. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen.
They're going to have a new team in Las Vegas. It's going to save everything, Rich. You just watch.
Yeah, well, I saw this is the honest guy's truth. I saw an article about their first roster move, and I couldn't tell if it was a satirical article or for real. But the article said the Golden Knights make their historic first roster move, and it was a picture of the player supposedly they signed playing Magic the Gathering. Apparently, he's known as an amazing Magic the Gathering player.
That wasn't an Onion article?
I have no idea.
I saw it. That's what I thought. I was like, yeah.
If it's not, that tells you how much they're fucking scraping the bottom of the barrel when they're talking about, their first ever roster move is a guy who plays a fucking card, collectible card game.
Rich, I think you hit the nail on the head. I don't think it's scoring that's the issue. They want to get scoring up so they get more viewers, and that's going to make the sport better, but it's not. You got to be able to view the sport to get viewers up.
Exactly. And especially if you're not in an NHL market, if you want to get interest in non-traditional markets for that sport, it has to be there. And that doesn't mean it's on one night a week on NBC Sports, or it comes on Sunday in the afternoon when hardly anyone's watching TV on NBC, the flagship station. It has to be on an ESPN, something like that, a Fox Sports, and not just your local team. Because I guarantee you, as much as it breaks my heart to say this, with the Red Wings being such shit this year, this is going to be, during this playoff run, I'm going to see a lot more people who were, quote-unquote, diehard Red Wings fans cheering for Crosby, cheering for Ovechkin, cheering for who the fuck ever in the playoffs, Chicago. And if you grew up a Red Wings fan, if you were rooting for Chicago, not because one of your favorite players was traded there or something, but you're just rooting for the entire team because the Red Wings aren't in it, you're not an old school Red Wings fan. That's just all there is to it. Because those teams and fan bases despised each other for a lot of years. I mean, really despised each other. The point where I think when the Wings play in Chicago, they still chant Red Wings suck. It's just now they're accurate about it. Whereas before it was bitterness. But yeah, that's about all I got. I can't, at least this week, I can't donate any more of my vitriol to the NHL because they just keep digging their own hole and then turn around, look at the fans and go, what'd you expect us to do? And it's like, I don't know, not dig a hole. How about that? We'll start with that.
Hey, for the record, the first move that the Las Vegas team made was signing a player named Reed Duke, who shares the same name of a prominent Magic the Gathering player.
That's what that was. Okay.
Yeah, the Magic the Gathering player on Twitter tweeted March 6th, so yesterday, when this podcast is posted, Monday at 5:30, it says, wow, 50 million notifications about the other Reed Duke, parentheses, hockey player, doing something awesome, staying off Twitter for a while. So, there you go. We researched our own fake news.
You are fake news.
Live on air. There you go.
But I just got to tell you something. If you're an NHL fan, they could actually get that mixed up, and the fact that they're reporting on how much of fact they're reporting that he shares a name with a Magic the Gathering player, and not the fact that he's their first roster move ever.
My source is NHL.com on the page for the Vegas Golden Knights, which is
that's exciting.
Apparently, the name they're going with. Their logo looks dumb. Looks like fucking helmet of the fucking Black Knight from the Holy Grail.
So every time someone gets fucked up, they're just going to get a tis but a scratch.
Yeah. Your arm's off. No, it isn't. Well, I mean, we're in that society now, right? You apparently can stick feathers up your ass and say you're a chicken, to paraphrase you there, Rich. We're there now.
Apparently works, yeah.
I can get a little bit more time if we got anything else. We got about 20 minutes. You got anything there, Iceman, you wanted to hit?
No, just that Selection Sunday's coming up.
Oh, yeah. We're going to do our brackets. I was telling the Iceman before you joined us, Rich, I think I'm going to download the ESPN or Yahoo or something app and just do like a private league with the three of us. That would probably be the easiest way for all of us to do a bracket and then keep track of it all as far as who is where and all that. Let someone else do all the math for us.
All right.
Yeah. Next week we'll do our big March Madness special, if that's what we want to call it.
And as you ask me what my bracket looks like, I'll be literally letting the ink dry right before you ask me that question.
Yeah, three guys who pay attention to college basketball like 4 weeks out of the year. All right. This should go well. Although I pick legacy, man. There was a couple of years ago I picked UConn or Kentucky or something. It was probably more than a couple of years ago. And I ended up winning. And people were like, you motherfucker, you don't know what you're doing. I'm like, I know what I'm doing enough to win.
Broken clocks right twice a day.
Yeah. So, a big March Madness. And two, we got the year anniversary coming up. That's happening in a couple weeks. Yeah, all 12 of you who listen, you can be juiced for that, huh? But I've been pretty geeked, too. Baseball alerts have been coming across my phone all the time.
Yeah, and by the way, last week when we were talking about the home runs that Jesus Tebow Christ hit, they were in batting practice. Okay?
Yeah, I know, right?
Really? This is really Mets? Really? Apparently, the report from spring training, Mets spring training, is there's more Tebow jerseys for sale than Curtis Granderson jerseys for sale.
Like 2 years ago, you're in the World Series. Why the need for the circus act, Mets?
Keep it up, and you'll always be little brother. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, shots fired. From Queens across to the Bronx.
Oops.
Starting beef. Let's see. Anything else happened while we were on the air? Anything earth-shaking? Anything we're talking about? Anyone get arrested?
No, not really. Romo's taking the stand of ABH.
Anywhere but Houston?
Here.
Oh. A-Rod signed some deal with Fox. He's going to be a full-time analyst.
You know, surprisingly, I've heard outside of anonymous social media, which is pretty much, I just chalk up most of that to trolling. I've heard very little like shit talking about him as a fucking on-air personality.
Actually, because he hasn't been bad.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like I've heard more praise for him than anything. So,
I mean, but think about it though. The line for celebrity broadcaster is low, and I think it starts at Magic Johnson. I mean, so you do better than Magic. I mean, you're doing all right.
Come on now, Shaquille O'Neal, really?
Shaq can be entertaining in his own right. Like
He's funny.
Shaq's got that going for him. That's what I'm saying. Like Magic Johnson, like he's like legendarily bad as a color man, not colored, as a color man.
Glad we cleared that up, dude. I got you guys beat. The only problem is he didn't go into sports. He went into entertainment, and that's Michael Strahan. Michael Strahan, I don't know how he has a career in media. I don't know.
See, outside of his Subway commercials, I'm not familiar with anything but his work with football. Like I see him on the when they do the sports when he's on Fox. You know, he's in part of the Super Bowl coverage and all that, or the Sunday or the Detroit games where Fox runs them. He seems in his element doing sports, but I haven't. What the fuck would I watch Kelly Ripa for? I'm a 40-year-old man.
Well, that could be your argument why you watch Kelly Ripa. I'm just saying his enunciation makes Donovan McNabb look like John Gielgud. Okay, so there's a lot to be desired there.
And at 6 o'clock, I said that before with you guys. The ESPN shows ran by he said, she said, Mike and Jameel. That's not a good thing.
See, but I like both of them. I don't have cable at the moment, and I haven't caught the show in a long time since it was on a different time slot. And if I remember correctly, it used to be on ESPN Radio. They had a show on their own, and they seemed like they were good together, good chemistry. She knows her shit. You know, he's somewhat amusing at times. So I mean, how does it not work?
It just all of that kind of went away. Now they're trying to do it like way over the top.
Is it coming off as silly? Is that what you're saying? Like
it just comes off as boring, silly. Just I guess I'm old school through everything, including broadcasting. I like booyah and replays and show me what happened in the sports world. I don't want to hear all this song and dancing and jipping and jiving. Just tell me what happened.
See, I've been checked out on the afternoon shows because about the mid-2000s, they started taking their cue from like Fox News, and it turned into like 6 guys yelling for an hour. and I really haven't watched any since.
Yeah, that's those like pardon the interruption around the horn type shows, right?
Yeah, it seems like whatever. I'll watch SportsCenter at 11. Like it's kind of where I went with that.
Well, see, but around the horn, PTI, pardon the interruption, those types, they're all right. You know, because I'm watching those for the debate. I'm watching those for the commentary. The banter back and forth.
They're all right, but it's not all right as a format for every show. Like, don't give me the same format with a new name. Like, it seemed like that's where it was going about the mid-2000s.
Right. I definitely see your point there. But when it comes to ESPN, I want to see the highlights. I want to know what happened in sports. I don't want the song and dance.
Exactly. I want the news. Give me the news in sports.
Oh, okay. So you're saying it's more of an issue because it's at the 6 o'clock spot where traditionally SportsCenter used to be? If you're tuning in at 6 o'clock to ESPN, you don't want to watch a sports culture and entertainment show. You want to watch the hard news. Give me the scores. Give me the highlights. SportsCenter.
In general, if I have my TV on at 6 p.m. on a weekday, I'm looking for information in general. Like, I don't start, like, pleasure viewing till, like, post 7 p.m. That's just where I'm at. But, the TV for news.
Well,
it'll be antiquated soon.
SportsCenter at 6.
Yeah, but also we got this conversation. But also give me the real news. Like, don't lead with the women's NCAA tournament and tell me that's the top story for the day. But that's another story for another day, or something we've already talked about too. Like, give me the real things that happen. I know it's slow because really, the news of the day, unless there's any front office moves, really doesn't happen until the games happen. But I don't know. I'm just, I want information from my media. I don't want entertainment. And they're starting. Well, they're not starting. They've crossed over, and we're starting to veer towards more the entertainment factor. I mean, look, we're looping it way back around to the beginning of the show. Look at what we were talking about with the whole situation with Cleveland and Jimmy Garoppolo and Adrian Peterson in Minnesota. Like, they're more concerned now about being first than right. Situation that happened kind of along the same time frame, Kevin Durant. And initially it comes out, he's out indefinitely. And then the next day it's like, check back in 4 weeks, should be all right. Okay, well, that being said, it's a slowish time of year. It's not like we were struggling to find things. It's just it's not much happening. I mean, NBA and NHL are the men are separating from the boys as far as who's going to make the playoffs. We said the Red Wings. It was a good run. It's going to be a while before anyone else beats it. Good job on that, but we're done there. Pistons, are they in the bubble? Are the Pistons even in the realm of the playoff conversation? Do we know? Look it up real quick. Click on NBA standings. Well, hey, Pistons be in the number 7 spot in the Eastern Conference right now. Look at that. All right, ahead of the Chicago Bulls.
Tied.
Oh, yeah. Same record. But, there we go. All right. It's possible. But, did all that to just, verify. Slower time of year, but, I mean, spring training is going to be rounding up. Baseball, we're doing a bracket next week. March Madness will be in full swing. And then, obviously, start of baseball season's right around the corner. NFL training camp will be soon. I mean, lots of good things coming up. Dog days of summer ahead of us, though, but we don't want to get ahead. First anniversary of the show coming up. Thanks to everybody who's been listening. February, bigger than January. So we just keep topping that bigger month ever. So you're listening, you're liking, you're sharing. We are at Sporgy Podcast on Twitter. We are at Sporgy_podcast on Instagram. Sporgy at ChristopherMedia.net if you want to email the show. Make sure you go to ChristopherMedia.net, click on Leave a Review. Takes you right through to all Christopher Media podcasts. You can rate the show, leave a comment. That's how you help tell people about us. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next week, guys.
All right, later.
Later, y'all.
If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook by searching for Christopher Media. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Thank you in advance for supporting Christopher Media by clicking on the PayPal button and by clicking through to all the sponsors who support ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net, and thank you for listening. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
If you look around, you'll see the world can be pretty smart. Okay, very smart. At Capella University, we think education should be smart too. That's why we're reshaping online learning with our FlexPath format. You can set your own deadlines, take classes at your own pace, even leverage your previous experience to move faster. So when it comes to earning your bachelor's degree, you know what kind of choice to make. A smart one. Visit capella.edu to learn more. Capella University. Don't just learn, learn smarter.